The Gauls. They would rather lie slain in battle than lose the freedom gained by their forefathers. My legions march north. The nights grow long and the wolf grows hungry. Rome demands blood. I will be outnumbered. The valor of my men stretched to breaking. The enemy? Merciless. The Senate expects defeat. Yet the goddess Fortuna favors the bold. They must be divided, scattered, conquered. I will trade their blood for power.
What is up, my friends, and how's it going? And welcome back to the 16th episode of our Let's Play series as Roma with your fellow comrade summary. I do apologize, it has been a long time since our next episode, and that is due to some real life stuff. I will be quite busy this coming summer due to quite a lot of real life stuff that I have to deal with. However, just a quick look at what we have done in the previous episode. We managed to conquer Armenia from the Armenians, as well as establish Roman control over the Caucasus, and then finally we declared war against the Seleucid faction, wiping them out once and for all by conquering Syria, Palmyra and Yehuda, and in particular Jerusalem. We had in the videos between videos, we had managed to diplomatically obtain it from the Egyptians, and we have gone ahead and renamed all of the settlements to their historical Roman names. As you can see, Jerusalem was completely renamed to Aelia Capitolina. And yes, without any further ado, the main focus of this episode is the long-awaited episode of Caesar in Gaul. And as you can see, I have already mobilized all my armies in preparation to attack Gallia itself. And of course we have Caesar leading his famous Legio 10 Equestris. And apart from that, we do have some other legions that were famous for this campaign, such as Legio 13 Gemina, Legio 14 Gemina, the twin legions. We also have a Legio 6 Victrix, which has been long inactive, but it will see a lot of the action. Apart from that, we are also in the process of recruiting up new legions, since we have a very strong economy to do so. As you can see, we are almost 10 million denarii in the treasury, and we're making about a whopping 236,000 denarii per turn, and that too with our taxation turned on low. And just to give you an idea of how I'm setting up my provinces, guys, as you can see over here in Latium, we have gone for a blend of agricultural as well as commerce related economy. As Roma, you can build the Circus Maxima, the Colosseum, as well as the Pantheon, all of which give amazing public order bonuses, and because of which you can really stack in all of your other regions economic buildings that actually have a public order malus, and it will pretty much be counteracted by your Circus Maxima, which gives a whopping plus 20 public order, and of course the Colosseum giving a whopping plus 24. And as you can see, public order is not even an issue in Latium, as we have plus 81 public order, so there is no chance of any sort of rebellion happening with this extremely aggressive build. However, just having a quick look at all of our provinces, as you can see, Asia is leading the pack with 139,000 denarii per turn. That is pretty insane. Asia itself is spec'd up to be an industrial province, as I normally recommend, and it is one of the best provinces, if not the best province in the game as far as economy is concerned. Meanwhile, Africa Proconsularis, after we changed a few things around, added the Horaeum as well as the Forum Boarium, it is now the second highest as far as income is concerned. Meanwhile, Achaia, just having 3 regions, is almost pulling in 100,000. It will pull in 100,000 once the Basilica of Vulcan is completed. Latium, however, is lagging slightly behind, but not to worry about it. I do believe that it will become the chief of all the provinces once it is completely fully specced out. However, without any further ado, let us have a very quick look at all of our provinces to see if we need to build any buildings. And so far, everything is looking so good. Over here in Judea, we can go ahead and upgrade some of those buildings. Excellent. Can upgrade this temple over here. And the reason I am not upgrading these main settlement buildings in Hispania is because they give a boost to my first, second and third class population. And Hispania, as you can see, we have tried to our best to retain it as Iberian culture so that we can use it to keep recruiting Iberian auxiliaries. So if you actually upgrade these settlement buildings, then you will get a kind of a malice to your fourth class population growth. As you can see, the fourth class population growth is just barely making any progress, if any at all, so we want to retain that, and by upgrading all the other buildings that will give bonuses to my other population classes, then I will very soon run out of Peregrini population class in Hispania. Meanwhile, you might wonder why I have leveled up this settlement in Ebessos, and that is because, as you can see, it does give a plus 1.5 population boost to the third and fourth class population, so it does boost up my foreign population class bonuses, as you can see right over here. However, that being said and done, we have looked at all of our provinces, so we're just going to have a quick look at politics. And I know I have told that I will not be focusing so much on politics anymore, since all of my characters are pretty much leveled up to a point where I don't really need to focus on politics. I can really easily assassinate anyone I dare to please, and I can really even bribe or entice a rival party member to join my own party. So I'm pretty much just ignoring all of the political situation, because I really don't need to focus on it anymore. It's like I am playing with the politics turned off, but I will, however, marry off any of the unmarried people. And of course, you don't want to keep spamming it, because it does give you an incremental cost to your gravitas requirements for doing these actions. So I do recommend doing only one particular action per turn, or one action of a particular kind per turn rather. However, without any further ado, let us go ahead and start declaring our wars against the Gauls. And before we do that, let's just quickly see if we can level up any of our characters. And that seems to be about it. But as you can see over here, the ledger is absolutely insane. It's absolutely wild. It's so big. We have so many legions under our control. And of course, they are spread out all over the Roman Republic. We have Legio 1 Germanica all the way over here, and we can move him all the way up to Narbo Martius. We have a Legio 2 Augusta all the way down at Carthago Nova. We have, of course, Legio 10 Equestris is the one for Julius Caesar himself. And of course, I can't go through all of these all at once. That would take a really long time to do so. We can even move Legio 3 Gallica, to be honest, all the way up to get involved with the wars against the Gauls. It's not going to be easy, I guess. And the reason I want to declare war against all of them is because, as you saw in the previous episode, Armenia and the Caucasus, and as well as the Seleucids, were pretty much a walkover for me. It was really easy to deal with them because I am playing with the 41 unit stacks. And I know I keep getting asked a lot of questions on how do I play with 41 stacks, and I mean, there are plenty of videos out in YouTube that describe how to do so, but once I return from all of my summer duties, I will start a mini series on certain modding kind of tutorials, so that you guys can mod the game as per how you like, and pretty much you guys can decide how far you want to take your modding skills. And the more of you that become modders, the better it is for the Divided Impera team. I mean, you can eventually even join us and help us out in modding the game even further. Alright, without any further ado, let us go ahead and finally declare the war against the Gallic faction. So we do have the Atrebates, and they're probably the biggest threat. And of course the Averni, which we have modified to include the famous Roman opponent, or the famous Gallic opponent to the Roman Julius Caesar, is none other than Vercingetorix, and we are going to be fighting against him. Hopefully the AI will be smart enough to give him a big enough army so that we will have an epic showdown between Julius Caesar, who is aging by the way, and of course the legendary Vercingetorix. So we do have quite a lot of Gallic factions over here that we will need to declare war against, and I'm not really going to bother about the alliances and so forth because they're pretty much allied to each other, and we pretty much have a kind of a cultural struggle between the Gallic factions, who are all pretty much in good terms with each other, and against the Germanic factions, who they were growing a little bit out of control, especially the Suabia, and I have significantly decreased their influence. They pretty much conquered quite a lot of these areas over here, and in the turn between turns I pretty much cut them down to size and released a couple of one province miners, or one region miners rather, in order to keep that variety of opponents we face in the future. Especially, I'm trying my level best to keep the Dacians alive, the Odrysians alive, and the Odrysians, to be fair, are doing quite well. However, the Dacians, the Getae, are constantly being attacked. As you can see, they are pretty much at war with the entire world around them, and that's quite interesting. They have a female in charge, and not to be sexist or anything, but maybe that's why they are doing so bad. I'm just kidding. Anyhow, back to the war against the Gauls, and of course our very first target is going to be the Atrebates. I mean, historical route, if I have to describe it. Let's see if I can... Yes, I can get the marker over here. Was Julius Caesar actually conquered the easternmost extremity of Gaul, separating it from the Germanic factions, and that's what I intend to do. That's why Caesar is placed all the way over here in Mediolanum. He's going to push up north. Meanwhile, his supporting armies are going to come somewhere over here, and then finally they kind of conquer this final region of Aquitania. So we won't be trying to blitzkrieg or wipe out factions. Keep in mind, this is not going to be a very efficient war. We're going to try to make it as entertaining as possible. So let's go ahead and just declare war against of course the Gauls, and we're not going to call in our allies. We're just going to declare the war against them, and pretty much now we are at war against the Lingones, the Mediomatrici, as well as the Nervii, and of course the Atrebates. So that is going to be quite interesting, and we're going to start off with the historical capture of Octoduron. It is a garrisoned city, so I really don't want to showcase this battle, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to quick save because I need to keep pushing deeper into Gaul as quickly as I can, and I definitely want to fight the battle in order to minimize my casualties, especially to my Latin population class. And I don't really care if my Peregrini or the foreign population class takes casualties, because they can easily replenish in this foreign cultural region. However, that being said and done, speaking of culture, we have to see if we have some dignitaries in the region that can help with the cultural conversion. And of course, we are getting a governor across all the way, and I guess we can move him all the way to Octoduron. Quick look at our other governors, if we can get any. And as you can see, our force limit is insane, which means we can start pumping out legionaries in the course of this episode. However, without any further ado, let us continue our push into Gallia, and we're going to move our armies into Bibracte. Keep moving them across. We have another army over here. Meanwhile, our spies up north over here can try to get some line of sight of what really is going on, because I have pretty much lost visual on what's going on up there in the north. We do have a nice Gallic full stack over here, and I do believe we have Vercingetorix all the way up over there, and pretty good army composition. Nothing too fancy. I mean, I believe this army is a lot better, and as you can see, it's a lot more sizable army. Hopefully that will change as we progress to the episode. However, without any further ado, I am quickly going to attack Octoduron. I'm not going to showcase the battle, and I will see you all once the battle is done. Alright, down goes the garrison of Octoduron. Welcome back. And of course, Julius Caesar has managed to kill off and conquer his very first settlement in Gallia. And of course he has also ranked up. And we are going to go ahead and loot the settlement, I believe. I think we should. Or we could raise it for the public order. But you know what, I'm gonna loot it because I do need that slave modifiers, and we have reached our final Imperium level with that, which means we can really build up all the historical Roman legionaries with that. And very quickly we are going to just dismantle a couple of buildings, have a quick look at what kind of troops we can get over here. And as you can see, some pretty good options for auxiliary troops, so I'm just going to retain this as an auxiliary barracks. Go ahead and change that to that. Meanwhile, make this an auxiliary barracks, dismantle these buildings, as we want to make sure that we maintain the population or the culture over here as Celtic, so that we can keep recruiting a lot of auxiliary troops. And as you can see, we are already replenishing because we didn't take any casualties with our Latin troops, and that was the whole point of fighting the battle manually. And pretty much in the next turn, the army Legio 10 Equestris will be, and I believe Equestris should be spelt with a V instead, should be ready to go and keep pushing up into Vesontio. However, we do have some sort of resistance up here, so it will be interesting in the coming turns. However, for now, I think I am done with the turn, so I'm going to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn when I'm ready to expand my war to the rest of the Gauls over here, especially the Averni as well as the Pictones. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Child has been born, a Ludi Plebii. Just gives a bunch of cultural bonuses as well as public order. Nothing much to see over there. And straight off the bat, we're going to jump back, have a quick look at all of our provinces. And we do want to maintain the foreign culture over here. So I do believe we build of course, an immigration building. And apart from that, what else can we build? Not entirely sure. Something that will give me a more foreign population class. I believe one of these buildings ought to give me more foreign population class. Definitely not that one. A stadium. A stadium will do it, so let's go ahead and build that. And then we're going to have a quick look at all of our other provinces real quick. Okay. Perfect. Pretty happy with the way my provinces are slowly coming into, its proper synergy. So, alright, perfect. And we can move Legio 11 Claudia all the way towards Nabo Matias. Go ahead and start giving it some auxiliary troops. We want some Gallic horsemen. And we need 8 of those. We need 8 of our spearmen. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 swordsmen. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of these skirmishers as well. Perfect. And the last 2 remaining slots, as you know, is for our Scorpion as well as our baggage train, which we have kind of built up over here with Legio 15 Apollinaris. We're going to move Legio 15 Apollinaris all the way into the port in preparation to transfer over all of these baggage trains and Scorpions into the armies or the relevant armies. Meanwhile, we are going to move Legio 16 Gallica all the way up north, and we are waiting for Legio 12 Fulminata as well to complete its recruitment. However, without any further ado, let us go ahead and declare war against the Bibracte. But before I do that, I really want to see if I can move towards Vesontio. And I can with Julius Caesar. It will be a little bit of a tough battle, to be honest. And that is because they do have a garrison as well as, of course, 23 garrison members, as well as, of course, they do have an army that's building up in there. However, if we wait, they might be able to get a little bit more troops in there. So we're going to have to attack with Julius Caesar himself. But the good news is we can move this army all the way up there as well. So I'm kind of hoping for that. Let's actually do that. Move a Legio 14 Gemina all the way towards Vesontio to assist Julius Caesar himself. Meanwhile, we are going to declare war against the Averni. And let's go ahead and just do that. Definitely going to be condemned, and we're going to have very unreliable rating. However, I don't really care about that. As you can see, the auto-resolve is pretty good. So what we are going to do actually is we are going to simply auto-resolve this one, because it's going to be even better with 2 legions in the fray. 95%. Down goes the garrison of Bibracte. And over here we are just going to simply peacefully occupy the settlement. As I did mention, it is tough to maintain Gallic culture over here in Narbonensis. So we are going to do, we are going to convert Bibracte as, or sorry, rather Gallia itself, into our recruitment. So definitely we need the wine trader that gives foreign population class boost. Can dismantle all the other buildings. Create an auxiliary barracks over there. Perfect. So with that, I'm pretty happy with what's going on over here. I could opt to march this army towards the west, but I'm going to try to keep a historical expansion route. So I'm going to move Legio 1 Germanica into the eastern half of Gallia, as well as Legio 3 Gallica rather, sorry, all the way to that eastern part. We do have a lot more legions just sitting around over here that we could involve, but I am going to keep them just in case, you know, the Iberian faction or the Cantabria rather, decide to attack me. So definitely keeping up some troops for the sake of course, you know, protection. And we can move Legio 2 Augusta, has really good movement range, so we're going to move him as well all the way up. And we can even upgrade them to the final level of shield as well as weapons, which is fantastic. However, that being said and done, just a quick look. Alright, everything seems to be fine. I'm happy with that. Let us go ahead and attack Vesontio. And what I am going to do is I'm simply going to attack Lingones. I mean, I could potentially just auto-resolve this one, and I think I am going to do that because it's 92%. It's pretty good. I will take some losses to my legionaries. However, if I just peacefully occupy the settlement, then I will have just a sliver of patrici, plebis, as well as proletari, sorry, that will help in replenishing my legions. So let's go ahead, turn off the taxations in this province. And this province is considered as part of Germany, which means we can get access to Germanic auxiliary units. And as you can see, we can get access to the Batavian auxiliary cavalry. And now these guys are fantastic. These guys are the best cavalry the Romans get. So let's actually go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, make sure we're building all the buildings that give foreign population class. Dismantle this building as we don't need it anymore. And now, of course, we have a major war situation up here in the north. We have some big armies, and therefore we will have some big battles coming up ahead in the future. However, without any further ado, let's have a quick look at all of our characters, if we can level up any characters. And of course, Legio 13 Germanica, or Legio 13 Gemina has upgraded, so let's give him those abilities. A very quick look at the template, which I believe we have Keepers of the Peace, and of course we have Defenders of Roma and Frontier Garrison. So we definitely want to move down that route, and I do believe Keepers of the Peace is what we need in order to get that you know, Roma Invicta army tradition, which is really good. As you can see, it gives a -9 upkeep as plus 9 replenishment rate for all units, which is fantastic. Really makes your army so cheap. And as you can see, my army upkeep is really low. It's at like 270,000 denarii per turn, which might seem like a lot, but keep in mind I have like 20 legionaries that are like 41 stacks. So you're looking at about, like, in terms of the game without the increased army size, you're looking at about 40 armies, you know. So I'm pretty much maintaining 40 armies, or 41 armies to be precise. So yeah, that is absolutely insane. However, without any further ado, let's go ahead, end this turn, and I will see you all in the next turn when we are ready to push into Belgica, as that is going to be the next thing we are going to want to do. And of course, the Atrebates do have a holding in Germania. We are going to try to attack it, and we're not going to conquer it as it wasn't historically Roman at this point of time, but we are going to either release it if we can, or give it to one of the other Germanic factions in the region, preferably a faction that is more friendly with us, like the Chatii, who are kind of in a war against all of our Gallic factions. The Kimbros as well. are pretty good. But the Suebii, alright, so we'll get to see what becomes of Uberzus once we take it over. However, let's go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn or in the future when I'm ready to launch an attack into Treverorum. It's not going to be easy. They do have quite a lot of armies over here, so fighting them is going to be rather difficult. But that's what we play the game for a bit of a challenge, of course. Alright, welcome to the future. Some of the characters have increased in level, so let's very quickly look at them. Try to give them their relevant skills. We have a general over here that we can give army upkeep cost reduction, as well as go ahead, give them that campaign movement, which I believe is super important, especially since we have such a vast realm. And can also focus on the replenishment rate as well. Go ahead, give some abilities to this character. Melee defense for chariots. This makes absolutely no sense as a Roman faction. Alright. Okay, you can get the Empire maintenance one, although I do believe our Empire maintenance is at 0, so there's really no point to that. However, as you can see, our legions over here have fully replenished, but of course at Vicentio we are still struggling to replenish. So what I can do is I can move Julius Caesar towards Bibracte, and hopefully he will be able to replenish. Meanwhile, I will move Legio 13 Gemina all the way up to Vicentio, move Julius Caesar down back to Bibracte, and we're just going to move our spy a little bit. The Mediomatrici have kind of moved their army away from everything. So as you can see over here, what's going on over here? The headhunters. Interesting. No idea where Vercingetorix and his army are. So we're just going to keep moving. Try to keep exploring these areas over here, especially in the northwestern part of Gaul. And slowly and steadily we are going to try to build up these newly conquered settlements as well. Perfect. Alright, quick look at all of our provinces while we're at it. Okay. We can upgrade the supply pit over there. And we can upgrade all of these things over here. Alright, we do have... Do we have a legion in the Bosphorus? And if we don't, then we most definitely should get them. And I do believe we should have one. Alright, so we do have Legio Scythica all the way up here. And of course, if I can just put them into the port of Phanagoria, or rather the city of Phanagoria, I will be able to upgrade the horsemen as well as everyone else. And there we go. Now we have the final level of speed for the horses, the level 3, which gives a speed of 9, which is pretty good, as we will be faster than, of course, the steppe factions should they decide to declare war against us. Apart from that, seems like everything else is under control. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how things are panning out. So what we are going to do is, once again, we're going to focus on the Gallic theatre. And we could have an epic battle over here. I'm going to let this army build up a little bit. Meanwhile, this army over here that's sort of kind of depleted will kind of retreat back towards Octoduran, because Octoduran should have pretty decent amount of proletari for now, which means we will be able to replenish a little bit better. So let's go ahead and do that. Move them into the settlement. That should improve the public order as well as allow us to replenish. Meanwhile, Legio 17 Germanica can move also towards Octodoran. And we are slowly but surely moving all of our legions into Gallic territory. So we're going to move Legio 1 Germanica up this way, try to conquer Cenabum. And meanwhile, we are also going to move Legio 3 Gallica in towards Bibracte. And Legio 2 Augusta can also move this way in order to support Legio 1 Germanica. And finally, we have a Legio 16 Gallica over here, that I want to move towards Bibracte first, because I have recruited some regular Marian legionaries, and the purpose of that is I'm going to disband them in Bibracte so that we do have some proletary population class so that we can keep replenishing our troops. Meanwhile, Legio 12 Fulminata can move all the way towards Massilia in order to get its auxiliary build, as well as Legio 15 Apollinaris can move towards Massilia. Fantastic. I do believe one of these legions, Legio 2 Augusta. Alright, that's fine. Maybe Legio 3 Gallica? No. One of these legions should have a slightly less men per it, because... And I believe it should be Legio 16 Germanica. Yes, that is the one. So definitely want to move Legio 15 Apollinaris to transfer over the baggage train as well as Scorpion unit onto this legion. And once we've done that, then it will be ready to involve itself in the Gallic wars. However, that being said and done, it seems like I can go ahead and end the turn, and we really have to see how we are going to push our offensive into Treverorum and wipe out the Mediomatrici. However, what I would like to do is for Julius Caesar himself to do that. However, with that I think I can go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the future when I'm ready to attack Treverorum, or even attack this army over here that is building up its troops really quickly. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Not this really matters, but we can go for the cavalry one. Meanwhile, classes 1 Roma Victrix is taking some attrition. That is because it is not in the port, so let's go ahead and put it into the port so that it replenishes. We do have a population surplus in Gallia Cisalpina. So let us actually... What do I actually want to build here? I want to build something that will give me a boost to my third class population. However, not really sure what that building might be. So let's actually just... You know what, we can actually just build a workshop instead. Or we could actually just build a Field of Mars. I do remember it has been changed to give a third class population boost, which is fantastic, which means we can even dismantle this building over here in order to stack up that third class population boost. We can do the same thing over here, and perfect. So we will be focusing on building up that third class population in these provinces. Meanwhile, over here we can also dismantle this building and build yet another Roman provincial barracks. Quick look at all of our provinces. We can go ahead, upgrade certain buildings in our newly conquered territories, so let's go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, perfect. And as you can see, we are in the process of building up the Pantheon as well as the Colosseum, and in about 9 turns the Colosseum will be ready, and in about 20 turns the Pantheon will be ready, which means we have finally completed building up Roma, and then pretty much Arretium is the only remaining settlement that needs to be upgraded once it reaches that settlement growth. Over here everything seems to be fine, and we do have a bit of a pirate situation in the African Sea, so we are going to send classes to Italica to kind of deal with that threat in order to prevent, and they're not going to get too far away, so we can pursue them. And I could fight the battle, but it's going to be a very easy battle, and so it's just much better to just auto-resolve it. And we haven't lost any ships. We are going to go ahead and slave all of those captives, and quickly going to go back and deploy our fleet back into Sicilia. And the reason Sicilia has such low public order is because we have spammed food creation in this province, and that is really causing a lot of public order issues. In fact, this building just gives +3 food. It does give a little bit of income to farms, so it might not really be worth having this building. What we could do is build another Nymphaeum, which will give a +16 public order bonus, and if you take that +16 and the -6 together, that should put us at a total of +22 public order, and that will pretty much solve the public order situation in Sicilia, which is what we kind of need to do. However, a quick look of our other legions over here. And Legio. Alright, so what we can do is we can move Legio 15 Apollinaris firstly, all the way up there. Make sure to transfer Scorpion as well as baggage train to that army. Meanwhile, we want to do the same for the other army. We're going to transfer the Scorpion as well as the baggage train over there. And then we're going to march them all the way down here so that they can do the same for the other legions that are in this area. We are going to move a Legio 12 Fulminata into Auxilia itself. Start building up our auxiliary troops over here as well. So let's go ahead, get some Gallic cavalry. And I believe that should be 8. Yes, that's correct. Couple of swordsmen. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 spearmen. And 4 of these skirmisher units. Perfect, 39 out of 41. And with that, we are ready to see what else we can achieve in this turn. I mean, we do have Legio 14 Gemina completely replenished. Meanwhile, the army of Julius Caesar himself is also almost replenished, with the exception, of course, of the Scorpion unit, which will take about 1 turn to replenish. However, I pretty much doubt that, because it's going to be a... Oh, it is a plebis, so that's interesting. So let us actually try to attack this army with Julius Caesar himself. Meanwhile, we can move Legio 1 Germanica all the way up to Cenabum, and we can try to attack that settlement. And we did have an army that we wanted to support it, and that's Legio 2 Augusta. We're going to move them up as well to Cenabum. And in the grand scheme of things, Bibracte and Cenabum are actually really important regions in the province of Gaul, because if you're fighting against the entirety of Gaul, Bibracte and Cenabum are right bang on in the center, and if you can actually link it up all the way from Auxilia, Bibracte, Cenabum and Iuliobona, you pretty much have divided Gaul into eastern and western enclaves that are quite easy to subdue. So that is pretty much going to be kind of the objective with these 2 legions over here. We're going to prevent their eastern armies from linking up with their western holdings, and if we succeed in doing that, then you know, it'll be pretty good.
Ready for orders.
However, we can go all the way up here. I mean, I usually don't like to fight with armies that are not fully replenished, but this is a Scorpion unit, so it's not really going to be taking any casualties in the battle to come. However, before we go ahead and do anything over there, let's quickly auto-resolve the siege of Cenabum. And we're going to occupy it peacefully so that we retain that Peregrini population class. Dismantle this building, upgrade that building. Meanwhile, over here, we can build a stadia, as well as we can dismantle this building and build an immigration center over there. Perfect. Legio 14 Germanica is pretty good. We can technically move all the way up to Trevirorum. However, that's not what I'm going to do. What I am going to do... these guys have pushed deeper and actually conquered Alcimonius. Right, that's a little bit annoying. They have gotten rid of the chatty.
We have need of talk.
Meanwhile, these guys have gotten pretty beefy as well. We want to cancel all our agreements with these guys, since we no longer have any vested interest in protecting them. We just kind of release them to, you know, to kind of deal with the over-expanding Suebii. And pretty much over here, we are also going to deal with these guys. Maybe we can ask these guys to join the war against the Atrebates. That should kind of allow them to expand in Raetia ad Noricum. We can pay them a retarded amount, but they still won't do it. So let's just go ahead and disband that military alliance. I can keep the military access. Perfect. And now we will actually need to send an army all the way to Alcimonius to kind of deal with the Atrebates and their overexpansion into provinces we don't want them to control. So let's actually do that with Legio 14 Gemina. We're going to move them all the way over here, and then we're going to attack Alcimonius. With that, everything seems to be fine. We can go ahead and attack this army. However, there is a slight chance that they will retreat. So let's actually go ahead and do that. Julius Caesar, march all the way out, attack them, and they have retreated. Which kind of puts me in a little bit of a pickle over here with the Julius Caesar himself. I mean, I could march up another army to support Caesar. And that should pretty much dissuade any of these armies up here from attacking Caesar in the end turn. Meanwhile, a Legio 13 Gemina is going to stay put. We could go ahead and attack Treverorum. It seems to be pretty not so well defended, so there's obviously that we can do. Let's go ahead and move Legio 3 Gallica all the way up to Vesontio. We could attack Treverorum, but I don't want to do that because that will probably make this army start to decline, and I really do want to fight at least one massive battle in this episode. However, before we go ahead and end the turn, let us really quickly have a look at what we can do as far as improving our characters is concerned. So we don't really need the food and the growth rate, so we're going to focus on the industry as well as eventually the commerce, so that we can keep buffing our dignitary in Roma. And while this character has leveled up, let's go ahead, give him that campaign range movement and unlock the ability for the next campaign range movement buff. With that, I think I'm happy with the turn. Just a quick look at politics. Remember never to ignore politics because you could have a civil war, and I'm pretty happy that I just didn't neglect it because these guys most definitely gonna launch a civil war against me, and I don't want to be fighting a civil war right now. So pick a character, select a province like Raetia ad Noricum, send her to improve the public order, and that will also improve the loyalty of the party that you are dealing with. So it's kind of like two birds in one stone, so that's pretty nice and a neat trick if you want to control your political parties. However, with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the turn, and should I be attacked in the end turn, then of course I will be showcasing that battle. Meanwhile, let's see our spy over here can move all the way up north, get a quick look at what's going on in Iolobona. Nothing much, which means we can pretty much take the offensive into Iolobona and successfully cut off the eastern and western halves of Gallia in the upcoming turns. Alright, welcome to the next turn. We have an economic intent and we can go for the industry is pretty good. However, we can select trade, which is also pretty good. That gives a bonus to all commerce wealth. And of course agriculture, but I'm going to select agriculture because it does give that extra food. Research has been completed, and I really didn't want to research cultism because that gives increased cultural conversion, and I don't want increased cultural conversion because it makes it harder to obtain auxiliary troops, and we really need a lot of auxiliary troops because we are playing with the historical legions and 41 stack armies. So unfortunately it is what it is, but on the plus side, we have completed our civil tree, our economic tree of philosophy and construction. So now we can focus purely on the military side of things. So let's go ahead and get torsion techniques, which will improve our siege engineers workshop. And then eventually we also want to improve our fleets, as well as improve our tactics with our fleets. So not much in as far as research is concerned. We are almost done completely researching everything. Meanwhile, let's see if we can level up some characters. We can level up over here. That's pretty good. Let's get the replenishment rate and push up Legio 14 Gemina in order to attack Alcimones. I have a feeling their garrison is going to be incredibly weak, so we're just going to simply liberate the faction over there. So that's great. And we should be able to replenish, which means we are going to push into Burzes with that army and pretty much release them as well. Meanwhile, all the way down south over here, things are not looking too good for the Getae. They are eventually going to be wiped out, and I'm pretty much tired dealing with them and trying to keep them alive, so I'm just going to let them die. Really sorry, folks. I tried my best to keep them up alive, and it really involves a lot of exiting and relaunching the game, and I have just not I don't have any more patience to kind of do that. So let's leave the Getae to their fate. Meanwhile, just a quick look at our diplomacy. We do have one ally, the Vindelici. I have zero knowledge of where they are actually located. And the Vindelici. Maybe I can just have a quick look over here. There's the allies, the Vindelici. Alright, they're the ones we just released. Okay, perfect. And apart from that, everyone else is not really an ally. We still have that unreliability rating. And what we're going to do with the Getae is we're going to actually cancel our client decline state with them, as we no longer require it. We're just going to let them suffer and face their fate. I mean, they didn't really help me by being so weak and pathetic. Meanwhile, up here, we can keep pushing towards a Cenobum. That could ultimately, or towards Iliobona rather, that could ultimately mean we lose a couple of units. So I'm not too keen on doing that. So I can send the army that has a little bit better troops. And yep, we can go ahead, auto-resolve this one as well. Nothing much to see here. Go ahead and peacefully occupy the settlement. And now we have effectively divided the western and eastern halves of Gallia, which means as long as we control the central region, armies won't be able to get across back and forth. And as I can tell, the western half of Gallia is pretty weakly defended, so should be able to deal with them pretty easily. Meanwhile, let's quickly have a look at all of our provinces. Try our level best to build it up in order to get the maximum foreign population class over here. Meanwhile, in Vesontio, we can upgrade that, which means we will get access to the Batavian cohorts, which is pretty good. Meanwhile, let's not forget to have a quick look at all of our provinces, because we definitely want to be, building up all of those military buildings that we intended to do so. Otherwise, we might get slums, and I really don't like slums. Okay, perfect. Some more research rates. So here's one of them. Let's go ahead and do that. Here's another one. We want to build that temple. And here's another one. Perfect. Go ahead, upgrade these buildings. Fantastic. And now we want to make sure we dock our fleet back into Syracuse to help with that public order situation. And really struggling to keep Sicilia in the positive. However, once this temple is done, then it should be a lot better. However, that being said and done, let's focus back towards Treverorum, and we can finally attack the settlement. So what I am going to do is I'm going to try to isolate the enemy as much as possible. So we're going to move Legio 3 Gallica to besiege Treverorum. And it is pretty good auto-resolve. But we are going to improve it even further by kind of attacking this Gallic army, and it should retreat all the way back. We can pursue it. Has a very good auto-resolve. There's no point fighting it. We're going to enslave all of them. And then we are... Is this army outside Treverorum? That's interesting. I think it might be outside, so I could have potentially attacked it as well. However, let's just go ahead, attack Treverorum. And we are going to loot the settlement. We have no intention of building any auxiliary barracks in here, as they don't really give anything unique. They do just give... Actually, they do kind of give some unique units, some Nervii units, so I guess we will be making another auxiliary province over here. So let's actually go ahead and do that. Dismantle all of these buildings. Perfect. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And we have this army over here that's pretty much in a decline. So what we are going to do with that is we are going to attack him with Julius Caesar. Meanwhile, this army all the way up north is in a bit of a situation, but nothing to worry about. Let's just go ahead and attack with Julius Caesar. Meanwhile, I really want to move my spy, get a line of sight of what's going on over here. I mean, the last we saw of Vercingetorix, he was heading towards the Germanic faction, so I hope he really didn't lose his armies over there. Let's have a quick look at the faction leader. Alright, he's still alive, and just have to figure out where in the world he actually is. However, without any further ado, let us hop into our very first battle. And that army is going to retreat. It's not a very intense battle, but as far as numbers are concerned, they're pretty much evenly matched. So I guess I will see you all in the battle, where we will see Julius Caesar take on the Belgians. Alright, welcome to the first battle of this episode. We have arranged our legion in their typical legionary formation that we have been following throughout this Let's Play series. We have our skirmishers rather in the front lines, as we are going to use them to skirmish the enemy. And we have a cliff right in front of us. That's going to be a little bit annoying to kind of maneuver around. And behind them we have our cohorts Astorum, our Asturian legionary heavy auxiliaries. In the flanks we have a spearman, as usual, our auxiliary spearmen, Gallic auxiliary spearmen, and to their flanks we have our Gallic auxiliary cavalry, and of course in the core of our army we have our 10 cohorts, including the Eagle cohort. We also have an interesting entry in the Gallic theatre, and those are Assyrian archers. So definitely a really beautiful looking unit and a really powerful unit. I mean, 46 armor for an archer unit, that is absolutely insane. Of course we have our scorpions that are slightly depleted behind the archers. Of course we have the great man himself, guys, Julius Caesar, all the way over here in the back, with his cavalry, our general's bodyguard. And at the end of it all we have our baggage train. So let's go ahead, start the battle. The enemy is 100% going to approach us, so let us just quickly this is interesting. We have to kind of move a bit forward, I'm guessing. So we're gonna have to move really quickly so that we can form up once again. And we have to kind of march all of our troops around around that cliff, which is a little bit annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But once we do that, then it should be fine. And Julius Caesar himself can kind of come down over here. And this is going to be absolutely disastrous for Caesar if we do not. And we can slow down the battle over here, get all of our troops quickly into formation, have a quick look at the cavalry. And we have a bunch of cavalry units over here that we have to deal with really quickly. Okay, so it seems like our legionaries, and thanks to the manable formations, they are quickly getting into position. Meanwhile, the good thing is we have left our skirmisher units on skirmish mode, so they will move behind our melee units into relative safety. All of our troops have kind of reached their positions, as you can see. Fantastic. And now this unit over here is just a light swords unit, so let's just go ahead and charge him, preferably from as many angles as possible in an attempt to wipe him out. Alright, our legionaries just formed the line just in time. And that being said, we can take our skirmisher units, put them over here, turn off the skirmish mode since they're already in relative safety.
One of our units has used all its
These
ammunition.
guys, we can sort of kind of position them over here. Maybe try to snipe the enemy general. Perfect. Dealt with the right flank of cavalry units. Excellent. So let's take these two spearmen, pull them out over here so that they can begin to flank. As you can see, that charge into the enemy on the left flank is proving out to be really, really powerful. Meanwhile, on the right flank, they have completely exposed themselves, so we can easily form up our Gallic cavalry and charge them. Excellent. And over here, quickly form up our spearmen as well. Alright, the cavalry is in position, so let's go ahead and attack, quickly group them up. And of course our scorpions need to stop attacking the general, since one of our cavalry has decided to attack their general. Meanwhile, we can move the other cavalry all the way around. All of these guys are losing pretty decisively. Great. Okay, these spearmen can come here. Start to encircle the enemy unit. Quick look at all of our units over here. As you can see, we have not taken that many casualties. None of the units are really in any threat. And we can kind of start to move Julius Caesar and try to make him get some experience as well. Quickly move our other cavalry. Can group them up again so that they pick individual targets. Spearmen over here. We're going to get rid of all of these skirmisher units really quickly, because we do have Gallic cavalry that are incredibly powerful on the charge. So that's perfect. Okay, Julius Caesar meanwhile has decided to kind of move into the battle like that. Pull back our cavalry. Fantastic. Over here we're doing quite well. Can move our spearmen. Take our cavalry all the way back in an attempt to kind of give another charge. Meanwhile, Julius Caesar himself can charge into this blob over here rather. Quickly ungroup our cavalry, unlock the formation, and we are going to lock it once again with the cavalry on this side. Charge into the units.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Perfect. Quick look at the kills of Julius Caesar, 16. So we kind of need to get that up so that he gets his third chevron. Meanwhile, in the center, we have nearly dealt with the entire enemy units. No real threat. Over here, we have a couple of swords units that are idle, so we are going to complete our encirclement as much as we can. Get these cavalry over here. Actually, we can kind of go around the general and charge him over there. While Julius Caesar, go ahead, keep charging. Try to kill as many troops as you can. 92, that's not too bad. Perfect, we're completely dealt with the center. So we can just go ahead and charge all of our troops over here. Make sure we get rid of the entire enemy.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Caesar himself racking up some kills, 140, 150, that's pretty good. And that general has already run away. So what we're going to do is just simply send each of our cavalry to deal with other units so that they do not return to the battlefield. And over here on the left flank we have managed to encircle the enemy completely. So it's only a matter of time before the army breaks. And once they break, I'm going to continue routing out the units so that I can get some experience for Caesar. At least 3 chevrons, and then I will see you all once I'm back in the campaign. Alright, with that, down goes the final army of the Mediomatrici, and we have wiped out one of the enemies that we are dealing with in this war. And Julius Caesar himself can get some replenishment if he moves back towards Vesontio, which he can. So we are going to go ahead and do that because we want Julius Caesar to keep pushing in towards Atuatica in the future. However, with that, I think I am done with the turn. So I'm going to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the future when I'm ready to take out Atuatica as well as Nemetusena. Meanwhile, the plan over here is going to just be hold these 2 regions in order to prevent any link up or possible link up between the various armies. Meanwhile, Legio 17 Germanica can move towards Bibracte, and we can move Legio 16 Gallica as well towards Bibracte. Excellent. Meanwhile, Legio 15 Apollinaris can move down south over here in order to give these armies what they need. So we're gonna go move over here and make sure that we take that baggage train as well as the Scorpion unit. And now Legio 11 Claudia is completely built up, and the game is now pretty much so easy because we have a lot of legions and we can pretty much just easily conquer and whack the crap out of any other faction in the game, really, so to speak. And of course, as you can see, we have almost done with our conquest of Gaul. We have conquered about 50% of Gaul. It's under Roman control, however. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more provinces to control in order to wipe them out completely. And we are going to end up doing it in this episode, especially with the historical Gallic regions. And if we aren't able to get Ubersis as well as Flevum, we are going to do it in the videos, between videos, and give them to the Germanic factions in Germania. However, that being said and done, let's go ahead and end the turn. And before I do that, I did mention that we can whack the crap out of any faction in the game. And that is true because we have just so many legions, but that, or rather the most difficult opponent that we will face, and I'm pretty much sure of it, and probably could even lose the campaign, is when we trigger the civil war, you know, in the future, and we will be fighting against other Romans, and that will make things really interesting, fighting against Romans with full Roman legionaries. Alright, welcome to the next turn, and just have a quick look at our provinces. Can level up some buildings. Perfect. Okay. Alright. Over here we can build another immigration center. And over here we want to build the immigration center as well as the stadia. Perfect. Alright. Quick look if we can upgrade any of our characters. Don't think we can. So that's not too much of a concern. Some of our units are going to take attrition. We're going to try to move them towards Bibracte. Took a slight bit of attrition. However, that's not too much of a concern because we are going to disband these proletary troops. And with that, we can go ahead and even start recruiting up some more Gallic troops over here. 6, 7, 8, I believe. Yes. A couple of Gallic swordsmen. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So Legio 16 Gallica is completely built up, or in the process of being completely built up. Meanwhile, we can also move Legio 11 Claudia towards Tolosa in a preparation to attack the western half of Gallia. Meanwhile, we also have a Legio 15 Apollinaris. We are going to move him towards Bibracte. Or actually, we should move him down south over here to Legio. What Legio do we have here? Legio 12 Fulminata to transfer over the last Scorpion and baggage train and then move him up towards Bibracte. However, that being said and done, I think Julius Caesar should be fully replenished, and this is the power of the Roman military machine. Meanwhile, Legio 14 Gemina, let's not forget about him. We definitely want to move him as close as possible so that... Oh, okay, so they have taken over Ubursis, so that's good. So we can actually move him back towards Mediolanum. It's no longer required over there. Meanwhile, quick look of the other legions over here. Legio 1 Germanica, still not completely replenished. And we have some legions over here as well. So what we are going to do is very quickly have a look at all of the armies over here. Alright, what do we have over here? We have a couple of Pictones armies over here. Headhunters, the Golden Torques. Oh, and that is, of course, Vercingetorix, and he has just lost a sizable chunk of his army, so unfortunately we're not going to be able to have a very good battle against Vercingetorix. However, what we can do is move both our armies down south from Treverorum to Visontio so that they can replenish. Meanwhile, we can move Julius Caesar himself up towards Treverorum, and hopefully in the next turn we will be able to attack Atuatica. And meanwhile, move this army down south over here. And we can move this army, Legio 6 Victrix, all the way up here so that we can attack Nemetusena. And I have paid attention to the time, and we are running out of time for this episode, so pretty much I'm not going to be able to conquer all of Gallia, of course. So I'm just going to conquer pretty much the entirety of Belgia or Belgica and kind of end the episode there and continue our Gallic wars in the next episode. However, without any further ado, let's go ahead, quickly end this turn, and we'll see you in the future when I'm ready to take out the final 2 settlements of Belgica. Alright, welcome to the next turn. What do we need to do? Ooh, we have another big army over here, but it has taken us big chunk of attrition, so we can move Legio 14 Gemina in order to prevent it from kind of backstabbing us. Meanwhile, what we can do is move Legio 14 Germanica towards them as well in order to kind of pincer them. Meanwhile, these armies have also completed their replenishment, so we can kind of move them, let's say, up north towards Nemetusena. Meanwhile, over here, this army is sort of kind of replenished. Not entirely replenished, so we can move him all the way down also towards Octodoran in order to replenish. And now we can move Julius Caesar all the way up north. I know if I attack this Gallic army, they might retreat and then I might not have any more movement points, so that's quite interesting situation. But let's just try it and see whatever happens. And they have retreated, and so I don't have any more movement points, so I'm going to move back a little bit. And most likely what might happen is I will get attacked by two of these armies in the end turn. So there you go, you're going to have a fantastic battle up ahead, and they have a really good army. I mean, Oathsworn, Celtic or Celtic noble cavalry, pretty good composition over there. We have some decent composition over here. I mean, I could easily prevent them from doing so by sending our spy to kind of sabotage their army, preventing them from closing in on me. However, I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I am going to do over here is I'm going to try to attack at this army, and we can auto-resolve it, which means we can also conquer Nemetusena. Go ahead and slave all the captives, and now let's attack Nemetusena. Should be an easy auto-resolve. Go ahead, auto-resolve that, and we can just simply occupy this settlement. And of course we want to build up our auxiliary barracks over here, dismantle some of the buildings. Perfect. And with that, I think we're looking good for this turn. Meanwhile, our armies over here have almost done replenishing, which means we can move our spy a little bit westwards to have a clear line of sight of what exactly is going on. And with that, we have taken the final settlements of the Atrebates, so they are going to be taking some attrition, which is good. Meanwhile, quick look at all of our characters. All of them have leveled up. We do have this guy over here, which we can get indomitable legionaries, but we can also get veteran legionaries. And weapon damage inflicted by all heavy infantry units is absolutely insane, as well as, of course, indomitable legionaries. So pretty much looking really good for Legio 6 victories. We're almost done completely building it up, and we can focus on other army traditions. I don't really care in what order we get the other army traditions, because they're pretty much just filler traditions, and we have got pretty much all of the interesting army traditions we can possibly get as Roma. However, with that, we should have a quick look at all of our provinces, if we can upgrade any of our settlements. And we can upgrade over here. Go ahead, get that barracks built up. Public order situation is slowly improving in Sicilia, which is also good news. Meanwhile, everything in other provinces seem to be quite well built up, so yep, nothing much else to do, except we might have some armies over here that we can kind of move around. I guess we can move a Legio 11 Claudia towards Bertigala in preparation to attack that settlement, possibly in this episode itself, if not in the next episode. However, let's quickly transfer over our final baggage train in Scorpion and quickly move our army, Legio 16 Apollinaris, into the settlement in order to get some auxiliary troops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we want some skirmishers. 2, 3, 4. And what exactly are we missing? We are kind of missing... Actually, we don't need skirmishers. What we do need is, of course, the legionaries themselves. So, and the reason we don't need skirmishers is because we have twice the amount of archers. So this is going to be the second legion in charge of protecting our Bosporan region from possible nomadic tribes. And speaking of the Bosporan region, the Odrysian kingdom is really, expanded crazily. However, as you can see, good news is, in Malva, the Odrysians have decided to release instead of outright conquer the settlement. So we will have some Dacians to fight with after all. So that is pretty much good news. However, without any further ado, I am going to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the future when most likely I will be attacked by the Pictones and fight in a battle for survival with Gaius Julius Caesar himself. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Some of our characters has leveled up, so let's go ahead,
and words are yours.
give them those abilities. We have the Legatus of Latium himself leveled up. We can give the Empire Maintenance. I don't think it should actually make a difference giving him the Empire Maintenance. But maybe we can even promote him. Funnily enough, we can't. And that's about it as far as improving our characters are concerned. Quick look at all of our provinces. Unfortunately, the Pictones did not attack us in the end turn. We would have had a pretty good battle on our hands. They decided to push deeper into Germania. I mean, talk about AI priorities, right? However, doesn't really matter. We should be able to wrap up this episode pretty much soon and focus on perhaps the next episode, in which we will be fighting to take over the western half of Gallia. Now over here we really want to build another immigration center. We have a building over here, so we can build up a supply pit, which should help keep our army supplied so long as they stay in Gallia. Meanwhile, over here we could attack the final settlement of the the Nervii, and that should be quite interesting. Right. Can move this army into Nemetosena, and we can move this army back down south towards Treverorum in an attempt to keep them replenishing. Go ahead, put on that patrol stance. Meanwhile, the armies over here should be replenished, hopefully. And as far as the garrison is concerned, Cenabum is looking good. Iuliobana, not so much, but I don't think it'll be much of an issue because all the Atrebates have is a very depleted fleet with their king sailing over there aimlessly in the English Channel. Alright, just a quick look at all of our provinces. And I'm so used to the game that I can just quickly glance or take a skim through all of the provinces when, I just quickly move across them like this. And, alright, perfect. And of course we had a Gallic army over here, which we could deal with right now. If I attack them, they will retreat. So we can just move this army back over here. Maybe the other army, if it can reach. No, it cannot. So we can attack with both armies. Should be a really good auto-resolve. 95% for taking out a complete full stack of Gallic troops. And Legio 14 Gemina has got an army tradition. So let's go ahead and give him the army traditions that we desire. Meanwhile, we can also move Legio 13 Gemina or 14 Gemina in order to prepare our assault on the western half of Gallia. Meanwhile, Legio 3 Gallica can also move in that direction, and we can also move Legio 17 Germanica in that direction. So soon enough we should be able to launch our invasion into, of course, the western half of Gallia. Okay, perfect. So we have quite a lot of full stacks ready to just pounce on the western half of Gallia. But before we go ahead and do that in the next episode, of course, since we are running out of time, we are just quickly going to have a look of what's going on up here north, because we have to take away Flevum from the Nervii. And of course we can see we can see Vercingetorix all the way up north here in the lowlands, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. However, we can just go ahead and attack Atuatuca. It's a very good auto-resolve. I mean, we did fight one decent battle. There's no really point of fighting a garrison army. So what we can do is just simply auto-resolve this one with Julius Caesar himself. Just peacefully occupy the settlement so that we have a sliver of Roman population to help replenish our armies. Meanwhile, just quickly disband the buildings we don't need. And perfect. With that, we are done. And what we eventually want to do is replace... some of this cavalry as well as some of the infantry with the famed Batavian cohorts. So definitely we have another Batavian cohort over here, so that's absolutely fantastic as far as spear infantry is concerned. We have some decent spear options, but I might as well just retain the Gallic spear options.
We hunger for battle.
And is it the same over here? No, it's not, right? I think we established that. So yeah, pretty much with that, I think we are done with this episode. I'm just gonna have a quick look at everything before I go ahead and end the episode. Everything seems to be fine. We're pulling in about a lot of money, and as you can see, before we started this episode, we were only at about almost 10 million denarii, and now we have already accumulated 11 million denarii, so the Roman coffers aren't going to struggle anytime soon. Apart from that, I also want to check on the political situation. We are starting to see some fairly disloyal political parties. Not too disloyal such that they pose a threat as far as civil war is concerned, but rather disloyal enough to possibly flip in that direction. So we're gonna have to keep a close eye at them pretty much throughout the rest of this campaign. However, what I am going to do between the videos is I am going to pretty much conquer Flevum and gift it to the Cimbros, or maybe even release a faction over there. And then in the next episode we are going to go ahead and conquer the last 4 settlements of Gaul. And that should be the end of the Gallic Wars. Unfortunately, Vercingetorix himself will not feature in it, unless of course I do some modding and try to kind of reposition him somewhere over here so that he starts to build up a secondary army, or at least starts to build up this army over here, the Golden Hawks. However, that being said and done, looks like I am done with this video, so I thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and if you liked the video, then like the video and don't forget to subscribe if you are interested for more. Peace and love.